Welcome to another episode of the Pantry Party Show with your host, me, at DJ Bletner. Here's the scoop. Pantry Party Show started because we are cooking more at home. We are going to the grocery store less, and we don't want to waste stuff. And here's the other thing, is how many of you, me included, are going into the cabinet and seeing the same beans and the same lentils and the same pasta and the same tuna and the same frozen broccoli and the same everything and need some inspiration? Well, you're in the right place. This is a Pantry Party Show, and that's what we're all about. We are about inspiring you to use what you have in your pantry in fun and exciting ways. Now look at everybody saying hello. Hey, the clinic dietitian, nice to see you, girl. Thanks for the waves. Oh, thanks for the hearts. You know, I love those. Love this show. Hey, Romina, do you want to be a guest? Here's what you would tell me. You would tell me to eat potatoes all day long. I know that. We should hook us up for that. Oh, and Chelsea, you're going to be a guest later on this week. I'm so excited. She has a new cookbook coming, and that's going to be awesome to talk to her all about eating fish. So we've got a star-studded week for you at the Pantry Party Show, and I think now more than ever... Oh, Romina, you don't have to send me any recipes. Why don't you come on the show with me? You would be hilarious and fabulous on the show. Alia is here. Let's talk to her. Let's bring her in. She's our guest today, and she's a wellness chef. All right, here we go. Here we go, girl. Come on in. Alia Dalal. I have worked and practiced. I have got the worst name pronunciation ever. And I have worked on it. Alia Dalal, come on in. Come on down to the Pantry Party Show. I just invited you in, girl. Love the stack of books behind you. Oh, do you though? Everybody thinks they're so freaky because they're like, oh, they're just all stacked up. But it's one of those invisible bookshelves. So there's, it's like stacked like this. And so you get like 5 in between each shelf. So anyways, invisible bookshelf, definitely worth it. So thanks for that, love. Oh, hey, Romina, you're in? All right, fine. Then I'll DM you some details. Hey, Alia, and that lipstick. Girl, you know I don't go anywhere without my lipstick. This is Buxom Shameless Magenta. So anyway, I did invite Alia in. Unable to join, it says. Oh, hey, let's try again. Waiting. Oh, hi, girl. What's
Yay,
up?
there it is.
Ooh, hey, did you just start us off going, whoop, there it is?
Well, I was trying to connect. It wasn't working, so I'm just really excited now.
It's totally, okay, so did you hear? Alia Dalal.
Yes, perfect.
Is it? Because I practiced. I literally am the worst name pronouncer. I for sure know that. So I was like working on it. That's why I texted you. I was like, am I saying this right? Like, oh my gosh.
No, well, it's so funny because I feel like, we know each other, so you know my name, but I feel like a lot of times when I reconnect with people or they introduce me, it's like, I do the same thing. You just have this moment of panic, like as you're saying it. Like even a name that you've said 100 times, you're just like,
yes,
okay.
that's and in a public format that the world can tune into. I'm like, that's just what I need to say her name wrong. Hey, so I am so excited to have you, especially because the Pantry Party Show really started with this idea of trying to build creativity around, cooking more at home and shopping less. But as the weeks go on, I actually feel like this is way more needed than I even realized. And because I'm seriously looking at the same cans of tuna and same things of beans and the same pasta and think, I have great ideas, but they're like coming to an end. So I'm looking to you, and I'm so excited that we're going to talk about some creative food things, because this is your life. You're a wellness chef.
Totally. And I feel like, I've been teaching cooking classes for a number of years, and really what I try to shift people into is not just knowing, okay, here's the 3 recipes from the class, but how do you start to put together things on your own? And especially like when you taste something and there's someone in your life, and maybe that person is me, who's like, this needs a little bit of vinegar, or this needs some parsley. how do you get to that stage where like a lot of us can say, hey, this doesn't taste good, but what does it need to taste better? So that's like really what I love to focus on when I teach cooking classes.
And here's, okay, so taking a step back, I know you because I used to teach cooking classes at the chopping block for 7 years. And when I stepped down from that position, I was like really eager to see who was going to do it after me. And that is where I first became aware of you. But then I've seen you on TV and I've seen you all over town. But your real background and passion is not just chefing, but like being a wellness chef. So what does that actually mean to you?
Totally. I mean, so it's just a term that I made up about 10 years ago.
I love it. I love it.
To describe what I do, but I went to a culinary school that you actually study nutrition alongside culinary. So it's a culinary program. It turns you into a chef, but most culinary schools don't even really involve a very basic level of nutrition. And so, which is crazy because you think that that would be a pretty core subject. So really also what I focused on is just using like whole natural foods. So a lot of the core recipes that, you learn in culinary school. Yeah.
You get a disco ball anytime somebody says whole natural food. I'm like, yes, yes.
I love it. I love like the DIY effects that you're putting in.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I have a new one coming tomorrow. I just had the idea before we got on the call. I was like, this is going to be good.
Nice.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So that's really for you a made up term, but really it says everything. And it's actually why I picked the picture of you that I did in the post today. You're like drinking a green smoothie. I feel like a lot of times you think you're either a chef or you're a dietitian, but that somebody who does both, right, is kind of an anomaly.
Yeah. And I think actually the reason I chose to become a chef is like in my early 20s, I became really interested in this relationship between food and health. But I think maybe discovered some of what you discovered along the way is that a lot of the time for like the average person, it's not that they don't know that vegetables are healthy. It's how do I do it? What do I do if they go bad? Well, how is it exciting? How does it taste good? And so I actually feel like chefs should really be stepping up. And I think in the past 10 years, we have seen that like the culture has shifted making these foods like exciting, but also easy to do.
Actually, one of the things going back to what you said, which I know is the truest part of being a real chef, okay? And this is what I have heard the most award-winning, star-studded chefs say. It's not how good you can cook, it's how good you can correct a mistake that really sets chefs up. Because like you said, it's like, okay, so you have this dish prepared. You've just spent 30 minutes making it. Kind of tastes like poops. And you're like, what am I going to do? And so you're saying that like part of your passion is not only teaching people how to make things taste good, but how to fix it if it doesn't taste so good.
Totally. And I think so before I became a chef, my background is actually in music. I studied like writing and music in college. And I feel like there's a big connection there of like when you're a musician or you perform, you might make a bunch of mistakes. It might be the world's most amazing performance, but it's over with and you have to do it again. And it's just sort of this very ephemeral, like reiterative process versus like what I imagine if you're a painter, and you might obsess over a painting for 9 months and then put it out into the world and it's perfect. Like I think with chefs, it's like, move on to the next thing, change it, fix it. Oh, burned the onions, let me fix it. We're going to make dinner again tomorrow.
Yeah. It's you got to eat every day. So if you're practicing, it gets better and better with time. I thought you were going to make the link of, I've studied music and this creativity is obviously pumping through your body. So that's probably where you get so much of your ideas from, is that truly you are like an artist at heart.
I mean, I do, not to be cheesy, but I really do think that we all are.
Oh, Romina just said a lot of artists are great cooks. Yes, exactly.
But I think, there is something that's just human about wanting to make things and put things together. And with cooking, I do feel like it's one of the arts that is more egalitarian, right? Like the best chef that you meet might not be me. It might be your grandmother.
And I don't have any prizes, but if I did, egalitarian is the biggest, fanciest word ever used on the Pantry Party Show. I love you. Oh my gosh. Okay, I was doing my research on having you as a guest. And so I had no, I mean, I know you're a wellness chef. I know you do personal clients. I know you teach classes. I don't know much about these two things. So I'd love to ask you. One is something about Whirlpool. Like you are a chef at Whirlpool. What is that? What is that?
Yeah, so about this is, I mentioned I've been a chef for about 10 years and I have not had a normal, regular career. I think if you're like, oh, she's a chef, she works in a restaurant. I worked in a restaurant for like a year, if that. So I, in the past, have done a lot of work like cooking for people in their homes. I've done cooking classes. I did a little bit of media, some recipe development. Like I've created some healthier food products for some companies, but about a year and a half ago, I actually joined Whirlpool and then their brand KitchenAid to create cooking classes and experiences for them in downtown Chicago. So it's kind of been like a little mini cooking school that I just, come up with recipes for. I teach people. And then, I mean, I love KitchenAid and the brand, so I get to, play around with their products and stuff, which is cool too.
I love that. KitchenAid. See, that's the connection right there. Because I was like, Whirlpool, what is that? It's KitchenAid. That's exactly right. Okay, so the other thing that I got obsessed with, and I know you do a million things, but the thing that I'm just fixated on that I can't stop thinking about is what you call the anti-meal plan. I was like, girl, this sounds like exactly what I need. I do the most minimal meal plans ever. Like people who do all these meal plans, I'm like, how, why, what? So can you tell me a little bit about what spurred this anti-meal plan and what the heck that is?
Yeah, so I think meal planning is definitely having a moment right now. It's like, oh, are you doing your meal prepping and all of this? But when I look at that online, I think maybe because a lot of that originated in the fitness world, where you're like, oh, cool, I'll sign up for this healthy meal plan. And it's like making 3 unique meals a day and measuring things in Tupperware containers. And you're just like, this is insane. If you cook once a week now, you're not going to start
saying hello.
Huh?
Drizzle Kitchen saying hello, beauties.
Hi,
but yeah, you're so right. You have to buy 30 million little containers, cook for your entire Sunday. So basically no Sunday.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then you're eating 7-day-old food at the end of it, which, let's be real, you're not eating that food. It's not appealing anymore. Yeah. So the cool thing about teaching that I think has really made me a better chef is that I've been able to just really connect to people one-on-one. I think even more so than you're able to in social media, because we'll all be seated at a table and we'll just be chatting like, oh, what are you making? What are you struggling with? You said you loved the recipe in the last class, you didn't make it. And so I've just really been able to get to know people a little bit better. And I think one of the things I really learned, which was actually true for me, I just didn't know it was true for other people, is that especially if you are single or just live with one other person, meal planning and meal prepping is just so daunting for the payoff. You either make one batch of something and you eat it like an animal for 10 times in a row, or you're spending your whole life cooking. And if you're single or you live with a roommate or, you don't want to do that. You want to be, typically you want to be going to a workout class, or sometimes you're working late or going to a lecture, or living a more dynamic life, not just cooking by yourself.
I gotta stop you. Yes. I just want to say yes. That is, even for nutrition, what I stand for is guess what? I don't want it to take over my life. I don't want to be dealing with this. Because why? Because there's a million other fun things to do in life. So if you're thinking about counting calories, counting macros, meal prepping, exercising for 30 hours, it's dude, you're missing the point of living. Those are all great tools to care for the beautiful, magical human body that we have. But get over it already.
Yeah, this is where I don't know what I have that's like a disco ball, but this is where I'm gonna spin that.
Of course you're using an onion. I love that. So you just realized that everybody doesn't want to be strapped into this meal plan. So you've made this anti-meal plan. And so what is that?
So it's something that you can get if you go to my website, and you put in your email address, you'll get it free. It's just a 1-week thing, but hopefully it can
What's your website?
It's aliadalal.com. So if you go to my Insta page too, you can see it. But basically it's 10 ingredients to buy at the grocery store on Sunday. And then you can use those ingredients to create 10 really unique, or not 10, 3 really unique meals from the 10 ingredients. So you're not eating that same soup for 6 days in a row, but you're also not planning to make 21 meals, because like the only way you can make 21 meals is if last week you made 20 meals. You know, you're not going to go from cooking once a week to 21 times. So that particular plan has like a roasted cauliflower tabbouleh. We have some quinoa cakes in there. And I'm trying, made it a little while ago. Maybe the third recipe is a surprise. You'll have to get the plan to find out.
I think beyond even what's in there is preaching that idea. Do you know what I mean? Preaching the idea that you don't have to meal plan like a crazy person in order to be healthy and well. And I think that's so great. That's such a good, it's a good mentality, girl. So, okay, so those were the things that I was obsessed about. Now why I have just been eager to have you inspiring me. Yes, and viewers. Okay, fine. But like, what are you making? So you have been, I know you cook all the time anyway, right? But like, we really are going to the grocery store less. You're cooking more. Have you had like go-to things that you really are like, oh, I want to assign you, or anything in your house that's like going bad that you really want to use as a jumping off point for chatting?
Yeah, I think the biggest change for me has been, so I always joke with my husband, I'm like, we cook at home more than anyone I know, but I feel like we also go out to eat more than anyone I know.
Yeah, Chicago girls, right? It's like there's lots of good restaurants around.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I don't know if we're just eating more than other people. But yeah, I typically cook all the time, but I definitely feel like I've been cooking more. And the challenge for me has actually been that I'm used to shopping like multiple times a week.
We go multiple times a day, not anymore. We would do, and Drizzle Kitchen says, OMG, same. That's really what it is that we have been accustomed to going to the grocery store every day. We live right by it. Or like you said, even just multiple times a week. And so how are you dealing with that?
So for me, I do need some kind of plan before I shop. So it's not necessarily the 21 meal. It might be like 2 or 3 recipes to get me going. But otherwise, especially when you're ordering, it's just going to take you like so long to do. Or same when you're shopping, like I like to have some things to focus on. So I'll go through like, you know, almost like my little Rolodex of like recipes. A lot of times for someone like me, it's like things I want to try, or maybe like a flavor combination that I heard, or something I had in a restaurant. But really wherever you compile those recipes, maybe it's Pinterest, maybe it's your cookbooks. Yes.
Say you don't compile those recipes. What would be, so I have something that I tell clients a lot is I will say either keep a notes section in your phone or a photo. I prefer pictures because reading is not like really a thing that I do. So it's like, I will even just like have it like pictures in my phone. Do you have a way that you organize all the inspiration?
So I like some of the apps, but I think there is an aspect I think that is a little bit easier for me because I don't stress out too much if I don't have a plan. So I know I'll be able to like come up with something to eat. For me, something like photos is it's going to be just too spread out among all the photos that I have. And I'm not a good, I never take.
Step it up when Steph is saying hello.
Okay,
yeah. So what's your suggestion on how we organize everything?
So there are like I think something visual for me, like Pinterest or Yumly, just different like apps like that. I used one called Paprika, something where you can collect some things, or like a notes app, or I actually typically do a notebook when I go to the grocery store. So even just like my tiny little notebook, writing something in there. I think you definitely don't have to do that, but you're going to be in the same position every week when you're like, okay, I want to go to the grocery store now, but I don't know what to do. You're just going to still be in that like stressful position. So I think somehow making notes, or even just saying, hey, 15 minutes before I go to the grocery store, I'm going to Google a bunch of recipes. Like whatever you want to do, you have to have some kind of time for that. Yeah. And then I'll pick like 2 or 3 things maybe to make, and then make those. But yeah, I think for me, it's
I'm a big supporter of like, don't Google a ton of shit and just literally, like you said, I call it the 2-2-2 plan. 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners, 2 snacks, be done. And then you can mix and match garbage you want, but at least you have stuff to make. 2, 2, 2. So I'm with you. You know, not a ton of stuff. Do you have anything in your house that like is that we all have that you have some creative tips for us for, or like something that's going bad that you have an inspiration? And I see we're in your pantry. So
yeah, so I did set up in my pantry because I figured I did just do my grocery shopping this weekend. I don't know, maybe some people are in the same position too, so you might not have those things that are going bad yet. Maybe later in the week you will. Although you can see, I did notice when I walked into my pantry, I'm starting to garden. I do have an onion that's now sprouted.
Nice. I'll tell you what we're doing with our onion this week. We're making chicken burger, what are those called? Patty melts. Chicken burger patty melts.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting? Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're in your pantry. Let's take a peek.
Yeah, so I can show you a couple things, and then I thought of some ideas if you know, we find some things that a lot of people might have that are stuff I do a lot. But one of my go-to year-round staples, I actually just bought yesterday, are red lentils.
We got to do lentils. We have to do lentil, I think. Well, I'll see other things, but I love that.
Okay, let me show you 2 different kinds of lentils. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so these are like the regular brown lentils. These I got on accident ordering, and these are actually my least favorite lentils. So this is going to be my challenge maybe for you.
Oh, I got that. I'm going to give you the answer right now. I don't even have to wait. When you make those, it looks like ground beef. So we did this last week. Anytime you have those lentils, which most people buy, by the way, the dirty, yucky, brown-looking ones, it's the perfect ground beef swap for tacos. And if Drizzle Kitchen is still on, she can name every Mexican thing. For tacos, for nachos, for quesadillas, for enchiladas. Anyway, because they're so ugly, I feel like they're perfect for looking like ground beef.
Yeah, they're totally hideous. I don't love like their texture, but I mean, they're still good. If you like lentils, they're good.
So make them ground beef. You're welcome.
For ground beef. Thank you. The red lentils I love because they cook really fast. I find, anecdotally anyway, a lot of people who are like, oh, like beans are so healthy, but I don't feel great eating them. A lot of times it's just, you know, sort of, they have a ton of fiber in them. So if you kind of go from not eating a lot of fiber to having like a full day's serving all at once, you might not feel so good, but they really break down. And you don't really, it's not like a steak where you're like, ooh, it's done. Like you could cook lentils for an extra 40 minutes and they'll be fine. You could even undercook them a little bit. So you just really have a lot of flexibility. My favorite way to make these is just a really simple, like Middle Eastern soup. So if you guys have ever gone to like a falafel restaurant and there's just like this really like awesome lemony soup, it's pretty much just onions, carrots, celery, some cumin, and a bunch of these lentils. And then you finish it with lemon. So good, but it's an awesome like protein to add to any meal. So I'll make like a big pot of this and then freeze it in pint-sized delis. So that's these size delis. And this is like a perfect 1 portion. So I can just defrost them one at a time. And that's how I get around the eating the whole pot of soup at once. Instead, I put it in these.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I could have this soup once a month if I wanted to, because I'll have these little containers in my freezer.
Now, will you eat soup in hot weather? Because I have a mental block to soup in general. I want to lean in and like it more, but I found that if I put good toppings on top, like you said, like like lemon or like chopped green onions or chopped up cashews or something good on top, I'll eat soup. But will you eat soup even in like spring, summer?
Oh, 100%. You know what's weird? My block is salads. So
I've got a soup that together will be a blast. It's like, I can't eat soup, you can't eat salad.
Maybe this is why we've never had a lunch date.
Oh my God, it's the truth. Although I have the world's greatest salad all of a sudden. I bet you love fennel, don't you love fennel?
I do love fennel.
Oh my gosh, it was a little bit of arugula, a lot of fennel, walnuts, and a lemon vinaigrette the other day. And I was like, this is so good. It's so good that we're going to eat that on top of a chickpea pancake this week. We're going to do chickpea pancakes with a thing. Anyway, enough about me and my meal plan for the week.
But you know what's funny? I'm curious if you have the same block. Like, I think a lot of those, like, you know, people think eating healthy is eating a salad, or maybe it's eating soup. Like, we eat a lot of soup, But my husband sort of has a philosophy that like soup isn't dinner. So I don't know if you have the same thing. And that's how I feel about salads. I'm like, oh, love salads. But like, what else are we eating?
Okay. This is the solution to both. So soup, if you think it's not a meal, have better toppings. And that solves everything for me. And better toppings are like chopped nuts, fresh stuff. Sometimes it's like pouring it over brown rice, whatever. For salads, listen to what salad we're having this week. Onion ring and steak salad. Now that's a good salad. It's better, it's less, goody two-shoe toppings, I feel, you know? Oh my gosh. Okay, so you have lentils. What else did you say you wanted us to see in your
So
pantry?
the other thing I thought I would point out, I think I've seen you talk about some canned fish on the show, but I thought I would give a few more ideas maybe.
Yes. Girl, I cannot have enough ideas because I did a Niçoise toast the other day with tuna, and I really loved it because it wasn't like the classic, mayonnaise heavy thing. It was like much lighter and classier, I feel. But yeah, what do you do with your canned fish?
Okay, so the reason that probably you and I like have canned fish at home beyond just the convenience factor is in terms of like health and affordability. Such a great choice, especially sardines, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, discount.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I buy it. It's because it's like I need that omega-3 fix, but then I'm like, what am I going to do with it?
It's omega-3, so it's obviously, you have the nutrition factor, they're affordable, and they last, because it's not fresh, but also because they're such tiny fish, they're naturally going to be low in mercury. So it's kind of hitting all the things that people want when they want seafood. The things that it's often not hitting is the taste and the texture of fish. So especially with something like sardines, the problem with the healthy canned fish is the oilier they are, the more omega-3s they have, because that's fat, but also the fishier they taste. So if you're like, ooh, but I don't like fishy fish, like, sorry, that's all these fish.
Sorry, this is a fishy fish.
So sort of like the easiest fix to get rid of that fishiness is I will lightly rinse the fish. So these ones are packed in water. They might be packed in oil. I wouldn't worry too much about washing away, the oil because they're pretty oily fish. And then I'll cook them again. So I'm never putting them just like straight on toast. I'll almost pretend like it's like a little raw piece of fish and I'll just pan fry it for a second or two in like a little skillet and then tons of lemon juice. But the one like sort of easy recipe I have for these, if even that is just like a little too fishy or you've done it a million times, is I'll make little sardine cakes. So think of like a crab cake. So I'll take these, mash it up with an egg and then whatever seasoning you want. I find that Asian seasonings actually really cover up that fishiness. So I'll do like ginger, garlic, and soy sauce. And then you want a little bit of some kind of starch. So it could be a little bit of mashed potato, mashed sweet potato, or I usually have like arrowroot around the house or regular flour, just something kind of powdery to hold it together.
Mashed to smithereen crackers, like multi-seed brown rice crackers, smash.
Yeah, you could do that too. You just want something that's going to soak up some of that liquid. And they'll still look kind of wet, but the egg, when it cooks, like we'll just hold it together and just put little patties in a skillet. Flip them over, and then I just dip them in sriracha.
Oh, and there, you sold it. I actually really like this idea because, I mean, when I go to a restaurant and I see a crab cake on the menu, I'm like, hell yes, I want that crab cake. So I like how you're now in my mind sort of saying, okay, well, this is like what, a sardine or a tuna? Like which one would you use for making that cake?
So I guess you could really use either. I typically have, let me see what I have. I have sardines. I do have some tuna. I didn't grow up eating anything like this, but I didn't grow up eating tuna. So like I am definitely one of those people where that like strong fishy smell, like it's not appealing to me. So I've done it with the sardines, I think, because for a lot of people, they're trickier to use. Like a lot of people find tuna pretty easy, but tuna, you do kind of want to be careful with the mercury. So if you want more of like hey, what kind of fish could I eat like twice a week or more frequently, sardines might be it. I realized I have a can of crab as well. So you could do the same thing with crab. But actually what I'm planning on doing with the crab this week is doing like Thai crab fried rice. I don't know if you've ever had that dish before. like at a Thai restaurant or anything.
No, tell me more.
It's basically fried rice, which, you know, I feel like everyone, even if you don't know how to make it, the instructions are kind of in the name.
Yeah.
So you take a leftover rice or brown rice, quinoa. You could do cauliflower rice, or I know you like doing like a mix of both. And then instead of soy sauce, to make it more Thai style, you could use fish sauce, but one or the other, you know, just something for that saltiness. You can stir fry it. I usually add some chopped vegetables and then a can of the crab, and then finish it with a bunch of herbs like cilantro, if you like cilantro, and lime juice. And it's like a lot fresher tasting than fried rice you might be thinking of. But yeah, it's perfect for just like one can of crab. You can spread it over like 3 or 4 meals, add a fried egg. But yeah, just like lots of lime juice.
I've ever purchased canned crab. I don't think I've ever purchased it. I think I was deathly afraid of it. I was like, what is that? That is a fabulous thing. And so when you're doing fried rice, do you do it like with the carrots and the peas and the sort of like that kind of thing? Or you're saying just rice, cilantro, soy sauce, and the crab?
You know, so I will take, I guess you could do, you know, carrots and peas, or if you have frozen veggies and you want to do that. I'll usually take something like zucchini and chop it up small. So almost like the cauliflower rice, and just get like little veggies kind of spread throughout. So mine will probably be about half zucchini, half rice. But just so I, have veggies, because I want a little bit more, something you could fold spinach in. But yeah, I'm not always necessarily doing like the carrots and the peas, but there'll be some kind of veggie in there.
I like that. All right. So here's a scoop. Every episode is called something. So it's like we've had, you know, the pasta puttanesca, we've had the popover, like whatever. So if we were going to say this, I know we've been talking about all these ideas, but something you said, I can't get out of my head. And I'm like, I think I got to lean into this. You said something, I didn't grow up eating that. Okay. And so when I think about like, oh my God, I have somebody who has this history of eating how I didn't when I grew up, right? Is there something in your pantry that is like, most of us don't eat, but you grew up eating? It is like a classic Alia recipe that is just like part of your history.
Oh, well,
You know, what did you grow up eating?
So I grew up actually eating a lot of Middle Eastern food, which is kind of funny because my background is actually half Indian, South Asian, and then half German. So looking at me, a lot of people are like, of course you grew up eating Middle Eastern food.
I've looked at a lot of your recipes online, and you skew very Mediterranean recipes, I feel.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't think so?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love like global flavors. So, but I think because my parents came from different backgrounds, geographically, they actually just really aligned with Middle Eastern food. Yeah. So grew up going to Persian restaurants. My mom would make like kebab at home, and lentil soup, and she was making hummus at home. And so I think a lot of those things where I'm like, oh, red lentils, like I realize that's not something that everyone has in their pantry. But for me, it's like, I'll have these, but I won't have white flour, or I won't have like canned tuna, or some of those like kind of classic American things. So I feel like if you want to try the lentil soup, that one is actually on my website as well. So if you wanted like a full described recipe, if you're more comfortable with that. Otherwise, this like Lebanese lentil soup, it's just onions, carrots, celery, a little bit of turmeric and cumin, a bunch of lentils, and then finish with lemon and salt, like we mentioned. But yeah, it's just like a perfect protein. Something that, you know, even now my family goes to a Middle Eastern restaurant. It's like everyone starts with the soup, but it's just super healthy, and it's great to like keep on hand. So I feel like that would be a good one.
Well, and then I think that has to be it, because I like the idea of I really like when somebody says, you know, like, yeah, I've learned how to do all this, but that's like what I grew up eating. Like, that is like, oh, I want to know what your like a staple that you think of, you know what I mean? So I like that. I mean, how do you feel if that was our episode? If our episode was, what do you call it?
Lebanese lentil soup.
Lebanese lentil soup. Would you feel like, yes, I feel very excited about that? Or would you like us to reconfirm the canned fish cakes?
You know what? I feel good about the lentil soup. I feel like you know, something I'm making. I feel like it's something I could help people make. And then my little canned fish tips are just a bonus for you.
Okay, I like that. Now, final thing about the soup. If I was going to eat this, would I eat anything with it? Or are you saying that you would make a meal of the soup solo? Or how do you envision us eating it?
Yeah, so if you want, you could eat it solo. I think a lot of soups, kind of like salads, they look big, but it's mostly vegetables and water. So you might be eating like 100 calories. Like, of course you're hungry afterwards. But the lentils they have protein in them, they have fiber. It's gonna feel a lot more filling. Classically, what we would have with this would be like pita bread, or some kind of bread. You could do, you know, almond flour tortillas or sourdough bread, or, you know, really whatever you want in that arena. Or if you wanted to do like an animal protein on the side, you know, you could just have like sliced chicken breast or something, like, or a salad. Like, you could kind of add anything you would add to a soup. But I'm a carb girl, so I would want, you know, probably some kind of bread, you know, maybe whole grain, maybe almond flour, but something a little kind of starchy and cozy to go with it.
I like that. I think that makes it also, when you think about like soup not being diety, it's like, okay, if you have something good on the side, so I'm all about toppings, but then also, like you're saying, like a piece of pita or like a piece of bread or something with your soup, and call it a meal. I love that idea. I think that's great. I love it for you. I feel like it's perfect for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good one.
All right. So here's the big thing is, if we want more of your magic and more of all the things you're doing, your classes and everything, where can everybody get more of you?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram, Alia Dalal. And then my website is also Alia Dalal. And I have the anti-meal plan on my website. I have a bunch of like free PDF download guides on some of the things that we were just talking about, like how to improvise a soup or how to taste something and then be like, what does it need? I actually have like a little wheel that helps you out with that.
What?
Ton of recipes.
No,
so all for free.
That wheel is magic. That wheel, what is that called? I'm going to go download that right
now. So I call it the culinary color wheel.
Are you serious right now? I'm posting about this. This is genius. Oh, I like how we're way over than usual guests. And I love how the last 2 seconds of this, it's huge. You're like, oh, and I also have this miracle thing that can save your life. I mean, you just randomly threw that out there. That's such a good idea.
It's something that again, just from teaching, I actually started off my career cooking for people going through chemotherapy. And that's a treatment that obviously does a lot of damage to your body, but especially your taste buds.
Yep.
And food tastes differently. And so not even from a nutrition standpoint, but more of like a culinary standpoint, it was something that, you know, I could work with my clients on how to make food taste better, and just realize that, you know what, everyone needs that. So tried to put together some tools for it.
I love that. You got to go to her website for the anti-meal plan. You got to go for the culinary color wheel. And you have fans saying they love you. I mean, you could throw me some love too, people. That's, you know who that is.
I love you, Dawn.
Thank you. Hollow Leg Mixology. Did you see her live on Saturday?
Yes, I caught her no proof cocktails.
Yeah, exactly. No and low proof cocktails. And she schooled me. Ain't nobody in this house calling it mocktails anymore. She's very against the word mocktail, which rightfully so. I learned my lesson. Anyway, thank you for the lentil show, the Lebanese lentil soup show. I appreciate it. I'm going right this second to get the culinary color wheel. Is that what it's called? Culinary color wheel?
Yes, culinary color wheel.
Freaking love that. Oh, haha, you know I think you're amazing, Dawn. Okay, so anyway, I fish for compliments all day long. That's really why I do the show. Girl, thank you so much for being with me. Thanks for the inspiration, the ideas. And we should, in IRL sometime, actually, you can get soup and I'll get salad.
But there has to be a disco ball.
Hell yes. Love you, babe. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye. That was another great episode of the Pantry Party Show. Wow, that was fun. We got a lot of ideas, but we ended up really nailing down Alia Dalal on a Lebanese lentil soup. And her resources on her website are crazy. An anti-meal plan and a culinary color wheel. You need to go get those right now. I'm going right now to get them. And make sure that tomorrow you check in again, noon Central Time, for the Pantry Party Show, where we're going to have another guest helping us get some inspiration from our pantries. All right, until next time, sending high immunity vibes, big love, and lots of kisses. Mwah.